We're back to picks and bans. Game number 2 on the way here. Revenge with the first pick and the first ban. And I think it's very interesting going up against Astral because what do you ban here? I mean, you got to keep banning the Giannis, I think.
Yeah, you got to keep banning Giannis. You probably are going to have to ban Odin. I don't think that the Athena pick itself, even though that it did not look good during that game, I think it's because the rest of the composition around it was not very good alongside it. That I think that you can take another Athena first pick here, and as long as you change everything after that, still feel okay.
Zhangqi and it was in Cyprexa. Zhangqi and Chernobog are going to be banned here by Astral, leaving the Athena first selection overall for Revenge. Again, don't dislike that one. And man, again, I didn't even dislike the draft. It was just the builds, it was the execution, and at the end of the day, Astral just a little bit stronger and more confident as they lock in Artemis. So Ryan and I were sitting back in the production room. We walk past the player area while we come to the soundstage, and Astral were kind of chilling. Bobby was making faces at me. There is no doubt in their mind that they're winning game 2 easily.
That's and why would they have any doubt after the sort of performance that we just saw from them in game 1? It's up to Revenge to really force some respect, basically, at this spot. And Astral going straight back to what they did in game 1. Why wouldn't they? Artemis, Raijin. That Raijin selection for oBoronic was so big. The one thing that Astral does have to worry about is there was that weird Gold Fury pull a little bit earlier on in the game where it looked like they were going to stay on it. Raijin uses that Taiko drums, but then everyone else drops it. Inbound picks it back up, where LingXiaoWho is right there. That was a little bit awkward, so you cannot afford to have those bad objective pulls against teams like Rival or like Flashpoint when they're operating at max capacity.
Which is, this is, don't forget, I mean, this is the first matches that these guys have played, and I think that's something that very rarely can you compare what the pros do to your own gameplay at home, but I think every time you go and sit down, game number 1 is first game of the night blues, right?
Yep.
I think it's the same deal here for Astral, but playing against Revenge, their first game of the night blues is almost dropping a Gold Fury and then winning the game by 20,000 gold. So I think things are looking up for the blue and white. Revenge here on the other side, though. This is their chance to bounce back. I love watching specifically the lower end teams find their stride in game number 2. Even the matchup that we saw earlier between Rival and the other North American team. Game number 2 was a lot better for Flashpoint on the picks and ban phase. They seemed a little bit more locked in. All right, good.
Okay, good. I was going to say, I would not have been down with that new hover that they had going on. Geb instead, so this does give some ambiguity to their draft. Can be Athena solo, could be Athena jungle, could be Geb solo, I suppose. That's kind of taken the minor league in North America by storm for a little bit now, but we'll see what the rest of Revenge picks. That should give us a pretty good idea. As Ram for that guy on your screen right there, the hunter for Revenge.
Right side, Artemis, Raijin, and Khepri.
Familiar.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You said that you don't want to see these players or these teams really showing too much of their hand.
Right.
So just play the same deck that you did in game 1.
Exactly.
Exact same picks here so far. Different ban, though, with respect to the Scylla.
Sideboard a little bit different with the bans, right? I mean, the Scylla has so much setup and protection with Athena and Geb that I think I like that. I think a Zeus ban would probably be pretty good.
Sure.
You know that Revenge plays in Europe. They see what Fly does with that pick. That might make them a little bit more likely to pick it.
Not Poseidon ban?
I mean, did you see last game?
Sure, but again, I mean, he had no jungler.
You're right. No, you are right. Poseidon ban is still totally fine here.
Jungle.
But that's the Khepri is kind of there to dissuade the Poseidon pick anyways, so you can kind of counteract that if necessary. I still think it would be a fine ban. I might ban something here that gets really that really capitalizes off getting beads in the jungle. Maybe a Hunbats ban, something like that could really punish you for not having purification beads up or take them away from you very easily alongside something like Athena Geb.
The Raven going to be banned out here. I like that idea. Khepri excels against burst characters, and while Ravens can certainly feel like a burst character when you're getting jumped on, he's all about sustained DPS. He's going to do the same damage to you over 20 seconds, right? It's not a big Kraken man. It's not a big raw ultimate. It's just, I'm going to punch you. I'm going to punch you. Oh, you got Khepri ulted. I'm going to continue to punch you. No big deal. So the Raven man certainly smart there. Revenge. Guan Yu ban. You and I were talking about this one, and this is an example of where the player made it work. Chang'e was probably the better choice, but Wolves just played the Guan so well that it didn't matter if he was playing number 1 or number 2. He just came out on top. And there's the chunk God ban from Revenge. I gotta say, I think that the pick ban phase here from Revenge is very smart.
Better, but they didn't take away the Thor from Layers, which is what I was really hoping for with that last ban. Is Chang'e the better character than Thor right now? Almost unequivocally, yes. But still, with the sort of rhythm performance the Layers just had in that last game, you know he's warm on the Thor. The walls were in the right spots.
Yeah,
the ults were great. I don't think you want to let someone like that get a Thor again, but Layers won't go to it. Instead, over to the Susano. A little bit more late game, a little bit less hard control, but still plenty of control that he can bring. Just a little bit more guaranteed quick damage.
Less interruptible by the Athena as well. Going up, coming down, and just getting smacked out of your Berserker's Barrage certainly can be a rough spot with the Athena taunt, especially when she's not dedicated peeler. With a Geb there, she doesn't have to use her taunt to save her teammates. She can use it aggressively. Neith and Habwa.
I like it.
I love this. Neith Hebo is always... I love Neith with hard, heavy carries like Hebo and Mercury. I think it allows her to sort of set up those characters. And this is also a world where Revenge can just oh no Astral before they have a chance to respond. Again, going back to something you said, I guess you've just been on a tear here, Ryan. Game 1, you were like, hit him in the mouth early and often, and this is a draft that's going to do that.
Can definitely do that, and I really do like that Habwa, but I really hope it's in the jungle. I'm hoping that it's not sort of weird, ADC solos with an Athena jungle or something like that. And I think we will see the Habwa, and hopefully no rings in the build this time around for Mango.
Oh, please, don't even play. Don't even play. No way.
I'm just saying, I hope I don't see it.
Amaterasu last pick. Don't forget, link your accounts. You can grab your Amaterasu skin there.
Nice.
If you're on Xbox.
Solid plug.
You like that one?
That was pretty good.
Yeah, plug it in, plug it in. Astral looking electric right now with Khepri on the Inbound. Very, very different play style. We mentioned it, but it was funny watching Inbound go and actually just play aggressively.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect anything different. It's I don't think he can turn that part of his brain off. That's just how he plays. And sometimes it'll work for him, and sometimes it can work against them. And if you go too aggressive against a composition like Revenge is here, they've got great frontline shred in Ram and Neith. They can work together, build a lot of penetration, knock down those health bars of Khepri and Amaterasu very easily. Habwa is all about camping that solo lane in the early game alongside the Neith ult. I want to see consistent Neith ults, 2 solo, look for the Ama. She won't be able to get away very easily. I mean, even if she used that dazzling offensive to immune the stun, Crushing Wave could be there to knock her down very, very easily, and that's got to happen here for Revenge. You cannot afford to be down, 4,000 or 5,000 gold going into the 20-minute mark like they were in Game 1.
Neith also going to do a great job of keeping Susano in check as well. A character can usually just run amok, and with Neith ultimate can sort of keep him in line. If he is going to get away, lock him down and allow other players to catch up, something that Susano isn't really used to. Sure. Neith, I think, is Neith is such an interesting point to really talk about. But why talk? We can watch. Game number 2, Revenge and Astral. Finch and Tully are on the cast. Let's get into the action.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Ryan. We are just about to move here into Game 2 after a very strong performance there from Astral in that Game 1. Maybe a little bit of a surprise to Chad even. Remember that mixer poll they did? It was pretty evenly split still between those two. So clearly they were still a little bit up in the air after those 2 matches, but who do y'all think's going to win this?
I think game number 1 was about 42% out of Revenge, 58% for AstralAuthority, but those numbers don't match the performance of these 2 teams in game number 1, and if momentum isn't a real thing, I'm expecting Astral to quickly shift this into number 2.
Well, this is going to be their chance to get this one done. Remember, they're up against the double Hunter comp this time. They're still going to have a mage in the form of that Habwa. He'll just be their jungler. So it's really the assassin that they are foregoing this time through for Revenge. Reform Mango certainly can make things happen on the Habwa, especially if he gets off to a strong start. It's going to be the Athena over in the solo lane, interestingly enough. I actually thought it would be perhaps the Gem solo and have Athena and support for them, but they're going to let Gnome take the Athena.
It's more traditional to keep the Athena there, even though there has been some Geb solos from time to time. Not very often, but it's been there. Yeah. The global pressure is what it's mainly about. You want to be able to consistently farm in the solo lane and make the impact before your enemy solo laner. And one way to do that is to get some global pressure. There was a time when the Thanatoses were in solo lane a lot, Season 3 and 4, variety in the solo lane like that kind of style. Ratatasker was heavy heavily popular during those seasons in the solo lane for the global pressure. And Athena's have never really left the solo lane. It's just depending on where you want to stick her.
And you talk about, you know, the difference there between whether or not we have the Athena or the Geb over there in the solo lane. Do you think there's any chance this is a bit of an audible call? Because up against the Ama, who can struggle very much in these early levels, I mean, Athena could actually have lane pressure for a little while.
It's true, but it's Wolves. The same way he was playing the Guan Yu, which should not have had as much lane pressure comparatively to Gnome, did. And I think this game as well, Wolves is going to find a way to just topple over Gnome. So it doesn't really matter what you really play against Wolves. It's just going to matter if you're not going to get those rotations from the jungle side, then you have to play accordingly and then just use global pressure to make a presence in team fights before Wolves will.
Well, the pressure certainly rearing its head here in the middle lane where we saw LingXiao and Mango clear pretty quickly and start looking to see if they could even strip away any jungle on the back side of it as the polls do come back through. This time, looks like chat's leaning a little bit more heavily towards AstralAuthority. Won over by their impressive performance in Game 1. Remember, it was an early rotation from oBoronic on this very Raijin that kind of got everything moving. Might see something similar here.
It was around that level 5 to 7 marker. Could see it again, depending on how LingXiao wants to play this. But I think the style of Revenge this game is to not rotate, considering that they have 2 global pressure gods in the mid and solo lane. Once the action happens in the dual lane, that's where we'll see the Defender of Olympus come through. That's where we'll see the World Weaver from LingXiao in the mid lane start traveling over.
This is interesting. I'm still thinking about this Guardian's Blessing start from these two, because they did it in Game 1 as well, and they are kind of letting the minions die either to the wave or just to the other wave instead of like taking them down themselves. A little bit more focus has been done on just bringing their health threshold low, but not so much finishing them off. I mean, they're trying to make this work.
This allows them both, Inbowned and Cyprexa, to just keep each other closer in the gold department, but if they wanted to really feed the late game Artemis, then you don't go the Guardian's Blessing and Cyprexa side because you want to last hit everything.
Yes.
But because they're not last hitting, they're getting that extra couple of gold per minion assisted by allowing their own minions to finish the last hit. And then eventually it'll transition to a better spot where you'll get that extra gold every 5 seconds.
That's right, and also just going to make them both a little bit harder to deal with. But I got to imagine that that extra gold spooling that you're just going to have once it does end up getting evolved is kind of the idea here between these two. They really want to try and accelerate a little bit, but as you said, it's hard to accelerate faster than just straight up having the Hunter's Blessing.
I mean, back in like really the old historic days of Smite, there used to be an item called the Boots of Midas, where it gives you extra gold as well, a lot of movement speed on top of it, and you were really able to just keep building it. And like a lot of players were picking this up, and this could be an interesting thing to test out at the very least. Mathematically, I don't know if this checks out. I haven't like really ran the numbers, but I definitely will after this set.
We'll look as Wolves could be in some trouble. LingXiao has been repeatedly charging that World Weaver ultimate just to sort of keep the comms of Astral flooded a little bit like the boy who cried wolf. So they'll never know exactly when that ultimate is going to be fired off. It's not going to be the case this time here as Wolves is able to fall back out of trouble. Actually, aggression from oBoronic. Thunder crashing in, forcing out the backflip early. Now getting pulled back in by Susano. An easy first blood for oBoronic with the Taiko drums.
Even with Defender of Olympus mitigating about 20% of that damage, still not enough to keep LingXiao alive. The Neith backflip lasts so long that it's so telegraphable, but action in the mid lane, action in the dual lane now.
Already
a little bit of
used the
trouble.
roll. Has already used the roll. The World Weaver is going to come out here totally. That is going to deter their aggression. Gino is forced to use the Purification Bead as he falls back, unable to find that pick.
Very impressive stuff from AstralAuthority, being able to bully out LingXiao and then still find some sort of dominance in both side lanes. Wolves almost finding the solo kill onto Gnome. This Amaterasu level 6 is only going to get scarier.
That's right. This is sort of that window. It's the window's sort of closed, right? Where the Athena, or where not the Athena so much, but the Amaterasu can kind of struggle with her clear now. At this point, Wolves should not be having much trouble. Now, Gnome on the Athena is certainly still going to be relevant, but it's not going to be that sort of favored matchup as Mango blinks in aggressively, drops the carpet, doesn't immediately go with the crushing wave, but now he has it to finish it off. Wolves ends up falling.
Very unfortunate. I don't think he had his dash available to escape that one, and his ulti still not available to cut the distance. Too much mobility. Mango with the speed buff, with the water carpet, even with the blink. opting to pick that up at level 1 gives him that gap separation that he needs to confirm these kills.
Puts him up at the top of the net worth chart as well. In some trouble is Layers and oBoronic come in aggressively. Percussive Storm off the mark from the mid lane mage. So Mango, especially with that Geb shield, is going to end up being okay. That's one of the few places where this Habwa, especially with the start Mango has gone, could maybe struggle. Is specifically like that, especially with the ultimate down.
Yes.
But this time he does not get punished. He makes it out.
Without beads or the Aegis, if you don't have your ultimate, you're basically a sitting duck as a Habwa player. And that's something that AstralAuthority are going to be looking for.
Typhoon comes through, not going to get the knock-up though, as Layers has to fire it off a little early, so LingXiao will survive. He is charging the ultimate, but I doubt, considering actually firing here, they don't really have any follow-up for it. Instead, just going to kind of bluff yet again that it might be looking forward. But Mango surviving that initial attempt on his life by those mid-harpies, getting that kill, and being able to survive with this blink start that he's going with is definitely going to help him out.
Gives him the experience advantage. He hit level 8 first. Now Wolves having to use the ultimate defensively. Gnome avoiding that third hit. Mango around the corner, but doesn't have his blink for at least another 30 seconds.
He's here again. He's looking towards this solo lane. Now, Wolves has been forced back, so probably you're not going to be able to find him here, but they're going to force it back even further. Now the rotation coming over from Layers trying to even things up, but meanwhile, the dual lane of Astral, Cyprexa, and Inbowned continuing to move into the jungle.
Taking away a lot of this gold and experience, starting with the Oracles now. This late game Artemis comfortably transitioning there with this Guardian's Blessing fully stacked, whereas Gino still working on that Hunter's Blessing, and the boxing exchanges will favor out the Ram.
That coming out from MOR Wolves. Taunt's going to bring him right back in. Crushing wave. Not quite going to be enough to get the kill. Defender of Olympus is being channeled, but Gnome actually leaving as a reform Mango ends up falling.
I think he might have accidentally chosen the wrong target. Now Gnome in a 1v2 with a health advantage, but not really too much kill potential.
Nice route that is going to force the Scarab's Blessing to come out on himself. Inbound does end up reviving, but he's going to respawn right back into a world of hurt. Meditation keeps him alive. Tycho drums now being used to control the Geb. Layers rotates in, but he wants LingXiao. Tries to get the double, but has to settle for the one.
Let's be real. That would have been one of the hottest double kills of all time.
Would've
just
been nice.
Slicing through the Geb with the third Storm Kata strike like a true anime hero, but settles for the one. Higher priority target, LingXiao, level 7 Neith, way more valuable to shut down than this Geb.
But I got to go back to the Defender of Olympus from Gnome, because depending on where LingXiao was sort of lined up, as Wolves does get brought down very low, dash not enough. Even going to drop the World Weaver to try and find this kill, but it's a little bit too late. Wolves should be able to sustain back up. But depending on how they're lined up, it can be a little bit difficult to make sure you're hitting the right person, especially when it happens very quickly.
Especially considering that his ultimate was still not available, so you couldn't use the Typhoon to really make a difference in that mid lane. But still, getting a kill, very impressive stuff from Layers of Death here, sitting at 2-0-1, a part of 100% of his team's kills. And that's such an important stat line when you look at a jungler. How involved is he with all the kills?
Layers has been facilitating in a big way for this Astral squad. As Reform Mango moves up forward, does have the ultimate available, so he could reposition if need be. Also has Blink if he wants to go aggressive, but with 3 members of Astral there, he does fall back. We talked about how this magical damage in the jungle can usually be an asset, but remember, with Gnome on the Guardian, the solo, this time they're kind of doubling up on magic, so that means Wolves can build this on Kile and defend against both.
Very cleanly, he doesn't have to worry about that much magical damage with a little bit of defense to his name, which you don't normally have up until the 15-minute mark.
Right.
But now at this point, he has enough sustain by switching out his auras to just get a little bit of extra health under his pocket, and by being able to silence players out, you're not going to be looking to get that combo that you really want with Gnome between the shield wall into the taunt.
That it could be disruptive of that. It might even slow down for a moment if Mango wants to go for the knock-up into follow-up damage immediately afterwards. It's a short silence, as we just saw it interrupt Gnome's combination. So Mango should be able to follow up eventually, but it does give him a brief moment where he can fall back.
And bounce around the corner, but as is Mush. The nice little taunt onto Inbound, trying to sustain it up, but Layers finds the Rama on the left side of the map.
That is important. It does keep Cyprexa still standing inbound, also able to survive without having to use Scarab's Blessing. Now it comes out, and he goes back in aggressive, trying to bait them to kill him to reset. They don't grab it. Meditation doesn't keep him alive. Mango puts him down 2-1-0. The only one keeping revenge in this one so far.
I mean, trading out Bobby for Gino. Favorable trade for Astral every single day in this late game. Rama now 2 levels behind. Griffin Mango is the target for Oboronic. Thunder crashing. There goes the Taiko drums. He's 1v4, Finch.
He recognized that there was no mana available for Reform Mango. Double kill now for Layers. Oboronic makes the hero play around the Pyromancer. He's not done yet. Jhin gonna be the next target. Percussive Torm, just too much damage. A killing spree for the mid lane mage. AstralAuthority continue to look dominant.
If you look at the earlier death from Gino, that's an unofficial deicide.
Yeah.
11.5 minutes into the game, Astral are
And all they give up is bot.
Yeah, giving up your Guardian, favorable trade. The Sacrificial Lamb support, as always, is the key. 11.5 minutes in, being rewarded the Pyromancer after where the positioning of that team fight. Normally you would want to get the Gold Fury, but Pyromancer, certainly nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, and the difference between LingXiao and Oboronic has been the story of this set so far for me. I mean, it's a great recognition because he doesn't look to put damage towards the Pyro for the steal. He comes back towards Reform Mango on the back end, who has no mana, no ult, no beads, no nothing to his name, and is able to bring him very low early and Thunder Crash in aggressively.
Now the thing is, even though it was Oboronic, 1v4 for like maybe 3 to 5 seconds, you're so right. The fact that Mango had no mana makes it like a 1v3 realistically. That takes away a lot of the pressure of having to calculate too much damage, because you always have to calculate the incoming damage versus your outgoing damage. But without any sort of mana from Mango, that makes it so much easier for Oboronic to make that play confidently.
Really has kind of been the story here. It feels like throughout is Jhin in a little bit of trouble. Cataclysm's good to avoid the stun from the boar. World Weaver is going to land on Cyprexa, so Gino goes in aggressively, but Scarab's Blessing keeps him alive, but not be able to move him very far. Cyprexa going to keep fighting it out, still surviving. Gino not even going to make it up to the ultimate. They managed to trade that kill out. Both Hunters end up falling.
Oh, Inbound's going to get rooted in place. The Unravel will secure. With a backflip, LingXiao doesn't have the mobility to escape this one. It's a 2-for-1 trade, but that's not going to last for long.
Layers once more, and he's going to find it. Oboronic gets the last hit, but the jungler sets the whole thing up. Now Gnome in trouble. Typhoon and Taiko drums is a cacophony you don't want to hear. Gnome going to be the next target. Thunder Crash, and Layers removes Gnome as well.
3 for 2 at the end of the day, but Mush goes back in. Mango around the corner. He's looking for a blink. He gets the knockup. Crushing the Wraith, not hitting the mark.
He's not able to hit anybody. Reform Mango drops what could have easily been a kill if he just picked one instead of going in between. He is going to find Layers, though, who lazy backs there underneath the tier 1 tower. Mango does eventually even up 1.
Layers smiling about that one's like, yeah, I goofed on that one. But look at this. Wolves making the rotation from the soul lane. He has his ultimate. Tries to go for the flashy play by silencing the Geb. Instead, goes for the Hobwa.
It's the fight that never ends. Geb shield comes out. That does mean Defender of Olympus will complete its casting time and will bring Gnome over to this side of the map. So Wolves not going to be able to find another kill. Reform Mango just barely survives, but a bloodbath in duo lane. The battlefield now wet with blood as Gnome avoids getting root for too long and is able to move away.
Man, with what felt like 2 minutes worth of action, ended up to be a 3 for 3, just barely. Mango finding the very last frame of the back before the back happened. I think that Layers was so confident that the back was going to go through that he was like, yeah, I'm not canceling this back. But it was just like a fraction of a second that Mango got in position.
And that's what's really important here for Revenge solely is Mango on this Hobwa. He's kind of the only thing that's still staying relevant. I mean, Gino not too far behind, no. He's level 13, only a little bit behind Cyprexa. But Mango is still having a big positive impact for the team. Gino can't really facilitate for the rest of the squad the way that Mango can by setting things up on his own. So him still being even with Layers and still finding kills is so important.
Beads being forced from Gino. That's what makes Khepri so scary. That long-range Layers looking for a play. Gets the knock-up onto Bush to cancel out that roll. But no follow-up there. Taiko drums was still available.
That does mean that they are going to start coming over towards the Gold Fury. Mango's right here and has Crushing Wave available, but he gets rooted in Old Beads, forced out early, and has to use the ultimate, worried that the Blink might be coming through. Jhin in a little bit of trouble. Defender of Olympus gets used. The board does come out from Astral as well to try and slow them down, but it's Revenge who are pushing on the gas. Now it's just Gnome. They fall back towards those oracles.
The chase was on. It was a 5-on-4. Knowing Wolves wasn't there. Gold Fury being started a little over 50% health, and this is not a fight Revenge wants to take any longer.
No, this damage from oBoronic is no joke. They do force them back, but Inbound forces to scare a blessing on himself. Layers finds Reform Mango. Gnome goes in to find the kill, but instead gives up his own life. Wolves gets that one. 2 kills now for Astral, and they are not done. LingXiao has already used the backflip, and Wolves wants to continue the fight with this dazzling offensive.
Oh, he wanted to get both Hunters with that third strike, but it doesn't matter. Gets the reflecting mirror onto LingXiao, making it a 3-0 and the first Gold Fury of the game. 16 minutes in, Astral up about 6,000 gold.
Looking dominant yet again here in this game. Revenge showing a few more signs of life, but those being quickly snuffed out by AstralAuthority, up 9,500 experience, 6,800 gold. They're going to grab a Tier 1 tower and duo to make things even worse. Perhaps the Tier 1 tower in mid with oBoronic and Wolves both here. Revenge, it feels like a boat with too many sprung holes. There's leaks everywhere.
There's too many cooks in the kitchen. Revenge can't really make a good enough meal. Mango walks into Wolves as the speed buff gets completed, but Wolves should get out. He has plenty of mobility. He even wants to pick up the speed so he's even faster to run away.
Classic Wolves. Even Jhin rotating over to try and slow him down. Blink comes out, does have the shockwave into the Cataclysm. Wolves now likely going to pay for this aggression with his life, but it costs quite a lot from Revenge to make it happen. The Blink coming out from Jhin as well as Mango. Ultimates, 4 of them expended aside from Genos and Gnomes. They really have to commit a lot.
Now, even though Wolves only died for a speed buff, with how many abilities were used here, that might have been worth, because Astral can now group up and look for the return play, taking out this level 11 Geb, makes it a 4-on-4 with Wolves respawning first, could still look to pressure some Tier 2 towers now.
You know what might have gotten Jhin out of there? A Cataclysm.
Potentially.
Had he had it. But,
and some teammates.
Yeah, and some teammates.
Maybe at least one.
they couldn't walk over to help. They'd used everything already. A great play there from Wolves, really, to force back the rest of Revenge. Astral now grab the Tier 1 in mid, and they're positioning around the Fire Giant as Defender of Olympus, forced out from Gnome. They're going to settle for Pyromancer instead. Revenge, no real way to walk in.
No, definitely not wanting to make this play happen without the Crushing Wave, the World Weaver, Cataclysm. Like, there's nothing available to look for a team fight.
Aggression here from Wolves on the Reform Mango, but look at LingXiao. He barely has anything available. Transcendence and Boots and Tier 2 of, I guess, Soul Eater at this point.
It's looking that way.
It's rough on the build path here for that Neith in mid.
I'm pretty sure it was LingXiao that got first blooded after that backflip, and that's what's going to allow Astral to continue shutting down the Neith, which is heavily relying on a lot of physical power to amplify the World Weaver damage. She has a lot of scaling on those abilities. Doesn't really have that much of an attack speed steroid to her name, but she definitely brings the damage.
Gino in a little bit more trouble, has to use both the beads and the Aegis. Typhoon a little bit too early to have the damage. They are now going to charge the World Weaver. 2-man taunt, not going to be enough. Tycho drums, puts the hurting on the Gnome, who has to leave. But Layers pulls in 2 members and puts everyone into the dirt. LingXiao falls as well. Inbound could be a little bit of trouble, but he scares Blessings Layers to keep his teammate alive.
But oBoronic unfortunately fell. He went south instead of north. Mango with a blink, gets himself a double. Can look to continue the pressure, but Thorns doesn't make this an easy task.
A very healthy Cyprexa now going to come rejoin this fight, and he's got plenty of damage. Jhin does end up falling back, but Reform Mango still has his footprints all over this team fight. Forces Wolves back with a little bit of knock-up damage. AstralAuthority, for the first time this whole set, may have overstepped underneath that Tier 2.
You say that, but in a 3-on-2, Revenge still back on now because they're on the lower end of the health department. Mush, very low. Mango, no mana to his name, has to concede this mid-pressure. That could have been a good opportunity to potentially get a Tier 1 tower, add 500 gold to the team's pocket, but not getting anything objectively is separating these two teams to not allow Revenge any comeback.
There really have not been any opportunities yet for Revenge to try and get some breathing room, as that last fight, as you see, does go in favor of Revenge, but not by a significant margin. Cyprexa has to use beads to avoid the World Weaver. He steps back for a moment, but Gino still wants more. Defender of Olympus and the aggressive roll in, but it sets up the route into the pull. Inbound gonna block the shot so Cyprexa can look for damage, but Inbound might have bit off more than he can chew. Cyprexa looking for Gnome, does manage to survive, but can't get Gino.
Just 4 on 2. Revenge out-rotating Astral with that global Athena pressure. Inbound gonna root and mush in place. Oboronic doing a little bit of damage, which gets mitigated by the Stone Shield. Here comes the Susano. Layers gonna let that kill go.
I like this from Jin, though, consistently realizing he can't have much impact behind for the rest of the team, but he can still laugh spam. Those have been coming out aplenty all game long.
He's been doing that very consistently, man. And to be fair, that Geb laugh is cute.
He did at least get that dazzling offensive out, but, you know, that's one more way, you know, sort of that sixth element in a game, right, where maybe you can kind of try and get into your opponent's ahead a little bit, and Jin trying everything at his disposal to slow down Astral. But few have figured out how to do it. Since week 2, I believe, they have not even lost a game in the summer split. They have looked dominant as Astral and Revenge trying to slow them down, but it's not an easy task.
Not an easy task whatsoever. With experience collectively behind, Astral are looking to not repeat the way they performed in the spring, because even though it was good, it wasn't perfect to be able to guarantee themselves the championships. Falling to Rival is probably still in the back of their mind, which is why they're coming out firing against Revenge.
Oh, it's absolutely fresh. I mean, in the interview we talked with them, they feel confident they can win this. Remember, Rival ended up in the lower bracket thanks to Astral and fought their way back in to win that tournament. Now the Fire Giant in their sights. Gnome is waiting right around the corner. Jin rotating over as well to try and defend, but Astral have already claimed the Fire Giant, and now they want the life of the Geb as well. Cataclysm forced out, but they're not done chasing.
No, not done yet. Typhoon being used, Shell being popped as well. There goes the 4, stopping Gnome from helping out.
Oboronic gets the kill over the wall, pulls Gnome right back into Cyprexa, and that nets Astral 2 quick kills. Gino is going to look for the damage on the tier 2 on left, but Fire Giant, the kills, and all the momentum going the way of AstralAuthority. They've got a minion wave, and they want the tier 2 in mid.
A similar story like the last game where Gino on the Jing Wei couldn't really make an impact in the right lane. Looks for the split push, but that's what you got to do when you're behind this much gold. Almost 10,000 gold behind. You need some tier 2 towers to start raking in the chips.
Gonna grab this mid Phoenix now, as it's Mango and LingXiaoWho, the only ones that can defend. Layers did go back to try and stop Gino's back, so that's why he's only just now rejoining the fray, but it's too late. Mid Phoenix already falls. Crushing wave hits no one, and Mango ends up falling. Oboronic returns the favor over to the jungler.
Mango trying to be the hero that Revenge needs, going in 1v4. Good jukes also by Astral, separating themselves away from that crushing wave, because that does so much AoE damage that it's almost coming at you like a freight train, and if you don't step out of the way, you will go down.
I thought you were going to say it was coming at you like a tsunami, but no, you put the crushing wave on land, on the highway, I guess. That's where freight trains are, right? Or are they on? Yeah,
they're everywhere, man.
I don't know where they're at.
They could be in this office. You got to watch out for them.
That's scary. I don't want to walk out the door and there be a freight train out there. That's like Inception. There's suddenly a train where it's not supposed to be. Great movie, by the way. I am a non-ironic Inception fan.
It's so hard to tell with you sometimes because you make everything ironic.
I do, and that's why I have to be very clear, as Layers isn't going to fall over here in dual lane, but he'll happily trade his life for a tier 2 in right, as no one from Revenge are there to defend. Only one tier 2 tower still standing. But yes, totally, I mean it. I like Inception.
It's a good movie.
It is.
The whole spinning top, mind blown.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Mind blown, man. I still don't know what the end means.
You know, there's a lot of theories on...
Don't spoil it for anyone.
Okay, I'll be...
I bet you some people are going to watch it immediately after this comes.
Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio drowns at the end of the movie, unfortunately.
No!
Oh, wait, that's Titanic. It's okay. It's Titanic, I was thinking.
Never let go, Jack. I'll never let go. It's a good movie, too, man.
It is a good movie. Leonardo DiCaprio's in a lot of good movies. Yeah. He's a good actor.
Romeo and Juliet was good.
Revenge, though, might end up having to let go in this game, totally unfortunately, as AstralAuthority are now up 12,000 gold. Really just looking dominant. 10,000 experience. Not going to mean as much as we approach the 25-minute mark. That Fire Giant really a bigger difference maker for them, as AstralAuthority want to come grab this tier 2 that's left in duo. Looks like Revenge have recognized it. They want to try and be there for the defense. but it's not going to be easy. They don't want to make a half-hearted defense on the back end. They could get blown up. Is Jen going to rotate down the back?
Look at the flank. Mush trying to make something out of it. oBoronic going into the Taiko drums. Here comes the knockup. oBoronic getting interrupted, but the boar making so many stuns happen.
Mango comes on the backside, patiently waits out the Aegis timer, and Gino with the snipe finds a kill. Cyprexa, the next one low. Mango has turned this fight around, but he is eventually going to end up paying for it with his life. LingXiao Aegis doesn't keep him alive long enough as Layers gets a double kill. It's 2 for 2 so far. Make that 3 for 2 as Gnome ends up falling on the left-hand side.
Mush without too much health. The defense of the tier 2 tower gonna be a failure. 3 for 2. Astral do end up losing their mid and their hunter, making these Phoenix sieges near impossible, but they can at least get the tier 2 tower and rest easy.
It is going to be a little bit harder for them to try and force down the Phoenix, but to be fair, Fire Giant just about to fall off anyway, so AstralAuthority really weren't going to be able to push any further forward. But Revenge are starting to show us some signs of life. I mean, I don't want to pronounce them dead just yet, as Mango, if he can find a couple good hits the way he did in that fight, he can take 2 key members out of the fight early. He's going to need the rest of his team to sort of follow up afterwards, but Mango doing all he can at 6-5-3.
The problem with Mango going in is, yeah, you can find those crazy good double hits, take 2 people out, but now you're in an unfortunate position where someone is going to clean you up. So
yeah, he's almost certainly going to die.
So you have to eliminate the damage dealers, which he did in terms of oBoronic and Cyprexa, but that 3rd damage dealer of Layers was able to clean up Mango. And if you take out Mango, the rest of Revenge just seems to fall, because where else is there damage? I guess like a level 20 Rama that is almost full build with crit. And that's about it.
Yeah, they're going to need him to show up in a big way. Even if you take down Cyprexa and oBoronic, there is yet another layer waiting for them in the form of their jungler. I gave Tole a very ridiculous look as I said that, because I was proud of it.
I could see you out of my peripheral, and I did not want to acknowledge it, but you made me.
Fire Giant should be going down to Astral relatively for free. Mid Phoenix has respawned. They'll have to go take that down once again, but shouldn't be too hard a task. Tole, how do you like this siege defensive Revenge? I know they're behind a significant amount, but can they make it happen here around Reform Mango?
It's certainly doable. The issue with Mango before this game, while it was still going on, was that he was going for a Warlock staff. Just now, 27 minutes of the game, finally finished off stacking, so he has the health. So you got an Athena dash taunt that can easily set up a multiple route, multiple knockups, just like that inbound, forced to abduct away from 1 Mango knockup.
But that doesn't mean that MOR Wolves can be the second wave of initiation. Doesn't find much. He has to fall back on the right-hand side. They get good damage onto the Phoenix, but now the rest of the team wants to try and get the collapse. Wolves has to retreat. Blink, Cataclysm from Jin, and they are able to not find anything. Reform Mango is the one that ends up falling. Wolves forces out LingXiao on the backside. Jin in trouble, and Cyprexa gets the double kill. Layers hunts down Reform Mango as well, or rather Gino on the backside. It's a 5v2. AstralAuthority in 28 minutes this time should be able to very cleanly take game 2. oBoronic gets Gnome as well, and Astral have their eyes set on the upper bracket.
And they're going to move on to face off against Rival. What a siege coming from AstralAuthority. There used to be a Hobwa present in the game.
Oh, yeah.
Until he blinked into the Caledonian boar. Yikes.
That's kind of how you want that fight to start, right? You want Jin to be able to blink in Cataclysm onto 4 members. That looked great. That's why I initially called that first kill. It must be in favor of Revenge, right? But it's the worst timing when Cyprexa ends up dropping the boar, as you said. Mango blinks in and is able to find nothing.
Mango needed to be a little more patient. You can't blink in when there's a boar ping-ponging in the action. You got to wait at least about 6 seconds before the boar fizzles away, or actually commit some abilities, some AoE abilities to take it out, because 1 board late game does enough damage. You add 1 or 2 Artemis basic attacks on top of it, and even with Warlock staff for this Hobwa jungle, it's not enough to sustain that late game Artemis damage.
Do like to see Astral, though, at least coming over, saying hello over to Revenge, showing a little bit of love to the second place team out of EU, as console continues to be more and more competitive as good teams continue to show up. But totally, that last fight, I mean, you're so right to talk about Mango in particular, because if you're going to go in and force out CC immunity, one of the best forms of CC immunity available to Cyprexa is the Caledonian Boar, and you got to expect that one to be there. He just need to wait a little while longer.
Maybe they could have waited for Astral to actually commit to the Phoenix instead of trying to defend outside the Phoenix. That's normally the safer play. not always the correct play because there's so many factors to consider. You're not always going to have that perfect timing. The fact that the Abduct was on cooldown as well. Wolves was on the backhand side between that middle and right side Phoenix. And as a result, I think that's why Revenge wanted to commit outside the Phoenix, knowing that Wolves wouldn't get into that team fight right away.
They had a chance to sort of split up the offense. And I think you're right. They might have gone for it when they didn't quite want it, but they don't get exactly what they're looking for to Revenge. But who are you all looking for at home as the MVP? Go ahead and vote for us now in the polls and let us know your thoughts. Once again, oBoronic stands out to me. Last time it was Layers that I believe they voted for, but oBoronic's play continues to impress.
Still a great, impressive Raijin, so much so that he might get this banned out in the remainder of this tournament. If you reveal your cards this early in the very first set of day 1, you might not be able to see it again in set number 2. But I also like the plays that Layers had. He was all over the map making it happen. Those pulls, the cleanup kills, being able to transition from the door to a Susano shows his elite status.
And Layers hasn't revealed anything, I don't think, either, right? I mean, Thor and Susano, those are fairly standard jungle picks. I mean, especially for him, you're right. He plays the Thor a lot, so really not much has been put on the table here yet by Astral to continue to look dominant. We're going to get back over to the desk, though, in just a moment here to break down what they saw happen there in Game 2 and in that set, really.
Thanks a lot, friends. Tom and Ryan breaking this one down. Congratulations to Astral as they move forward, and Revenge will play against the other squad.
Flashpoint waiting to play them next up, and Revenge has got to find a way to kind of wipe that game from their memory because they got wiped, basically, by AstralAuthority. I mean, it was just mid-jungle. That's what mid-jungle dominance looks like during a set. I mean, it wasn't just Game 1, but Game 2 as well. 20 kills.
And 5 deaths.
Layers and oBoronic.
Yeah. Intense. Good thing if you are a Revenge fan at home. Reformed Mango on the Habwa had about 6 kills and 6 deaths. Now, if you're playing a Habwa, you have to get at least a couple of kills, right? If you wind up with 1 or 0 kills, there is no hope in the fountain whatsoever. But coming out here and being able to go 6-6-3 with a decent amount of player damage here, I think this is a sign that Mango definitely improved from game number 1.
Yes.
There are some things working for Revenge, and as they look forward to their next game, I think that there's a little bit to talk about here instead of just being, well, you know what, they took us and we can't do anything about it.
I think that Revenge just needs to have someone there in the comms to calm them down a little bit. Because, look, AstralAuthority is a really, really, really good team, but Revenge plays against Rival all the time, who's also a really, really, really good team. They just seem a little bit nervous, intimidated, whatever it is. They better fix it fast because they've got to go up against Flashpoint soon.
And there are moments, too. I mentioned Mango. Gino was doing it as well. There were moments. So I'm looking forward to see them play the next game. Looking backwards, though, Layers of Death. What a surprise. LOD here coming out with the MVP performance on the Susano. Like I said with his Thor play, this is not the first nor the last time I'll be saying LOD Susano player MVP.
He's just on fire so far. First 2 games. Look, AstralAuthority, if you would have asked me what's the best case scenario for them to prove that they are ready to go here at this LAN, it's that oBoronic and Layers have great performances right off the bat, and that's exactly what we've seen from both of them so far.
Well, we were talking about that off air after Esports Weekly every Monday, 10 a.m. We put out our predictions, and that was our conversation. Was was it going to be Astral or Rival or maybe one of these other teams? And I remember your stipulation being like, if these guys come out, I mean, we're going to see big things. And the performance that we're seeing out of Layers reminds me of a very specific LAN where Astral beat everybody. It was last year, I believe, in our old studio, and there was just, I remember just interviewing him after every game because he won every game, and it was just like, all right, dude, what'd you do different? And he was just like, I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
We've discussed different players sometimes just let the game come to them, and Layers is one of those guys.
Yeah, when he gets on a roll like that, this whole team is very momentum-based. So that's why I think even if a team like Revenge, who seems a little bit overmatched against Astral, what's going to happen to this team when they do fall behind, when they do have a tough start to a game? So far, they've been able to breeze through.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun watching everybody go head-to-head against each other. We've got some players on the line. Let's take a look at what they have to say.
AstralAuthority, congratulations over your win against Revenge, looking very dominant. It almost felt like you were racing Rival to beat your first-round opponent. What made it look so easy for us spectators? Was it your own individual gameplay, or was it more of the mistakes for Revenge?
I I think it was more of like their drafting and stuff like that. They put out the Alquang, and I don't really. The build was very questionable from the Alquang as well. He went double ring. That wasn't ideal. He didn't get to his late game power spike. We ended the game early, so we just won.
We all really did end up looking dominant there in that set. And we were wondering a little bit on the cast about y'all's duo lane start. You both go with that Guardian's Blessing start. So you don't have to reveal too much to us, but tell us a little bit about what y'all like from that start.
It just gives you a huge gold lead. Just from like scrimmages and all that. Like, if you can get through with it, like, it is probably the best start you can have in the duo lane with the double Guardian's Blessing.
It's always refreshing to see a new strategy, especially in the console side of things. Bobby, a very selfless player, playing the Khepri, picking it against Revenge. Looking forward into the future, is this the strategy that you wanted to do against Revenge, or is this your own catering to your own play style?
Well, it's just one of the many comps that we have. We didn't want to show too much against them, so we picked the Khepri and we just ran with it the second game also. It's something we like to do. We do really like running the Khepri, and yeah, it's just something simple to run. Just I bait myself, I ult myself.
And Layers, forgive me if you're still KP to me and I say it on cast all the time, but in that game, I mean, it was a great start. That rotation you make over to Gino to start game one where you dunk on him, oBoronic gets the double kill. For us, I mean, that feel like it set the pace for the whole set, really. How important was that play, that start for you all there in game one?
Well, usually at first game of every LAN, my heart's like beating and I want to like make plays. But when I went up in the air around the Gold Fury level 1, or not level 1, but the first initial gank, the wall is like humongous, so I can't see anything. So it's just a blind ult. I was like, please let me hit, and I landed on. I wanted to land on the Athena, right? You call it the Athena, but I landed on the carry, which was Jingwei, and it still ended up well. So.
Well, congratulations to both of you. Before we let you guys go, is there any other shout-outs you want to give?
Shout out Griffin. That was his first LAN set, and he played really, really well. Mm-hmm. He had like no nerves, and he just played outstanding. Yep. Shout out Astral too, our org.
Yep, that's about it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys again, and good luck against Rival.
Thank you.
Easy.